What
is
is up?
Oh no, Ben, it's my turn today. I'm running. I'm manning the ship today. Get out of here. I'm manning the ship. I am manning the ship. What is good, everybody? Welcome to Daily Betslip. I am your host, Reed Wallach, for today, joined alongside by Benny Heisler. Jam-packed show for you today. We're going to break down maybe my new favorite sport, college baseball, a bunch of bets in Major League Baseball. Ben's got a WNBA play. Our game of the night, NHL Game 4, Rangers Lightning. I don't have a bet on the game yet, so I am trusting the community to weigh in on Twitter at BetSided, on the YouTube page right below us. Let us know. I'm riding with the public tonight, so whatever the community picks, I will pick. But jam-packed show. But now I will kick it over to my co-host to ask Ben, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, Reed? I apologize. I'm so used to sitting, as Mike Francesa likes to say, in the number one chair. But I always love to share the opportunity with you here on a Tuesday. It's I think it's like the third or fourth Tuesday that we've had the opportunity to hang out together, and we've got a ton, like you mentioned. Game of the night's going to be huge today. I'm excited to talk AL Cy Young futures. We have a great MLB slate where we're going to see several prime candidates for the award all on the same slate. So if you're thinking about trying to figure out what that future is going to be, get that League Pass account going. We'll be tweeting about it at BetSided because you might see some really good value. And if you jump on board on the earlier side, perhaps you might have a nice little edge if some of these guys start to move up.
Yeah, and we're going to get to Cy Young talk closer to like 5:30 range. But I do think that in the long course of a season, like these are the types of nights that you could, if you bet before maybe the slate starts and you see someone like, I don't know, I'm just throwing out a name like Michael Kopech, who's 40-1 right now at WinBet. Maybe he throws a gem. His number is going to plummet, or Tariq Skubal for the Tigers. So I do think that, how the schedule works out kind of has like a psychological effect on these odds. So I do think that, especially on a night like tonight, you can maybe get in early. But let's talk about the amateur baseball, why don't we? With our bad beat of the day, we're going to the College Baseball World Series, Louisville, Michigan. And Ben, I don't know if you saw this, but this might be my thing. I might be getting into college baseball as we get ready for Omaha in the next few weeks. Watched a little bit last night. I watched this Louisville, Michigan game, and let me set the stage. Michigan favorites there to go to the Super Regional, which is basically the Sweet 16. They are up 2 in the 8th inning. Runner gets on. Then a play at second base. Runner looks like he's called safe. They review it for 5 minutes, a lot of dead time. They don't have the evidence to overturn it, even though the commentator's saying this, he's going to be overturned. He's going to get called out. Next at bat, single, tie game. Next at bat, absolute nuke out to left field. Ball game, Louisville ends up going up 2. They close out in the 9th inning. Louisville advances now to the Super Regional to face Texas A&M. I mean, tough beat if you're Michigan. Ben, I don't know if you saw this, but clearly out at second base. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. We're talking umpires and MLB. We complain about them all the time. Looks like the college baseball umps aren't safe either.
No, especially if you're starting to go further and further down. I was thinking maybe a chance like this had turned into a Savannah Bananas game where all of a sudden the ump was going to start doing a dance at home plate and turn into Enrico Palazzo at the plate. There is an umpiring problem right now in all forms of the sport. And I don't know about you, Reed. I don't know how you feel about team robot umpires. I'm firmly on the side of it because especially now, as more and more leagues start to get in bed with, sports book partners, you can't have so many of these games decided by these terrible calls. And one other thing, just to kind of get this off my chest a little bit as well, man, there were some great walk-offs last night.
What's electric
baseball. And there was one guy over on ECU, I don't remember his name, but he wanted that second to admire the shot that he had to close it out. And you have an umpire putting his hands on the player, shoving him to move and run to first base. He has to be the new police of good sportsmanship. It's absurd, man. Let the kids have fun. They're playing at the collegiate level. Fix the umpiring situation all throughout the course of baseball, because watching that, it happened twice, Reed. It happened in 2 games last night. Just let the kids play.
I completely agree. And, you make a great point with these leagues being in bed with sports books, not necessarily college baseball, but it is a problem. And especially for it to be reviewed and for it to say stands where it clearly also baseball, I don't know, it's a little bit tougher than other sports. But if you're going to review it for 5 minutes or so, you better get the call right. It was clearly wrong. The commentators were shocked. I was shocked. And then obviously 2 batters later, it's one of those things where you could see it like leading to a big home run or something. Like, you like feel it building towards it. Like if you had Michigan, you knew you were screwed right after that play. Right. So you're like, we're done here. So that's it for last night. And I think I'm going to start getting into this college baseball World Series. We have a little bit of time before the Super Regionals. I might have some content over at BetSided. I might look into this tonight, tomorrow, and get ready for the Super Regionals, and then also Omaha, the Elite Eight, and try and maybe make a futures wager there. I don't know if it will be on Louisville, but I don't know. Maybe Texas has caught my eye as a team. They just beat Air Force to advance the Super Regionals. But hey, we'll see how the next few nights go. But let's get over to, before our best bets, let's talk about some Twitter responses. We got some good interaction on social today. We're going to start in baseball. We had, if we want to queue up the first best bet from one of our viewers, the Red Sox Angels over from Chick-fil-A at Pump and Swag 33. Red Sox Angels over, sitting at 9 right now. And I guess we could talk about it, but the Angels just fired their manager, Joe Maddon, after a 12-game losing streak for the Angels. Obviously now under 500. It's kind of been a house of horrors. They lost last night 1-0 to the red-hot Red Sox. Got Garrett Whitlock against Jose Suarez. Ben, what do you think? Like, are you seeing anything, maybe like a bump from the offense? Ohtani, Trout's been in a slump. Do we see the Angels' bats come alive here?
I think it's a good play, and he also sent us that pick before the news of Joe Maddon finally going down. The Angels have just been a complete disaster over the last 12 games. Like you mentioned, they've lost 12 in a row. Went from at one point, I know that they got passed by the Astros in first place, but I mean, this is one of the best teams in the American League. In fact, I remember when Reed Detmers threw the no-hitter back in the middle of May, the Angels odds to win the World Series went from plus 2,500 to plus 1,500. And that really had nothing to do with their overall chances, but Detmers had a terrific outing. You had Ohtani leading the way in MVP voting. Trout was right behind him. Now you've started to see some of those guys start to move out of it. The Angels offense has not really been the issue for them this year. It's been tough over the last several weeks. It's been a bad bullpen. Bullpen's blown multiple leads. Obviously, the game against Philadelphia, they gave up a ton of home runs to the Phillies on the road over the course of the previous weekend. I suppose if you're going to make a move, you do it now to try and reset, get the team back focused before it completely unravels. But yeah, I think if you're going to go ahead and take a bet, you take a bet on the Angels offense as opposed to their pitching to try and slow things down. So I don't mind that play. I certainly understood it from before, but especially following Joe Maddon's firing, yeah, I could see the Angels bat starting to come alive.
Yeah, I like the cliche fired manager narrative. I mean, the Angels just got swept by the Phillies, who just fired Joe Girardi. So maybe the Angels saw that and they kind of want to take advantage of what they saw last weekend in Philly. But let's see our next best bet from another viewer. Yo-Yo Ma's cousin, Little Nepotis, weighing in with the Pirates plus 110 on the money line against the Detroit Tigers. Ben, I know you have a play on this one, so maybe I'll save your handicap on this game for our best bet section up next. But I will say very low total, sitting at 7. Maybe someone has an opinion on that later, but this Tigers offense is brutal. The Pirates are frisky this year, kind of hanging in there. Ben, I know you mentioned metric. I don't have the number right in front of me. A trend of late with the Pirates cashing as underdogs. They're kind of hanging around that wild card race, right around 500. So the low total at only 7 and a hapless Detroit offense, I don't know. Plus money look might not be terrible. But what was that?
I think it's reasonable. I'll say this too, Reed, just so I don't give too much away. Over the last 10 games, there has not been a more profitable team in Major League Baseball to bet on than the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you're betting $100 on every game, the Pirates would be up plus 10.15 units. They've gone 7-3 over their last 10 games, or 6-2 over the past 10 days. Helps when you sweep the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium when you're massive underdogs on the money line. But yes, it's understandable to see why the Buccos right now are an opportunistic team at home against the bad Tigers team. Very good pitcher on the mound for Detroit. That's going to be part of my bet a little bit later on. But I don't mind the play if you're buying into Jose Quintana and buying into the Pirates being the better overall team than Detroit right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And big shout out to Beers and Bowties. Beers and Bowties, if you got a bet for tonight, weigh in. Let us know. We'll talk about it. But our last one, we're going to the ice right before our game of the night, which is coming up at around 5:40. We had another play we saw from a viewer. We want to cue that up. At Saw Yonder, Johnny Stunts going with the Rangers money line. We think, or I think he replied to us again saying it is the hockey team plus 155 right now against the Lightning. So Tampa Bay wins, of course, and we don't want to talk. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but Tampa Bay wins in the final minute on over the weekend to make this a 2-1 series. I don't know. Maybe the Rangers are being a little undervalued just tonight at plus 155. That seems a bit steep for a playoff hockey game. And I mean, it is 2-1 Rangers. We'll see how the Lightning perform at home. But I think we're going to save this one for the game of the night section in a little bit. And
I think that's the reasonable play to go. And again, anytime you're up that much in the series and you're that sizable of an underdog, personally, it kind of makes me feel like there might be a trap involved. But again, we'll have that conversation coming up in game of the night shortly.
So let's move to best bets. And Ben, I know you have 2 on the diamond and then 1 in the WNBA. I'm going to start with you first. I might be catching you off guard, but let's start WNBA first. I know you've been kind of capping this league the entire year. I've been deferring to you. Last week you gave me Aces minus 3.5. So what do you got for me tonight? Is there another winner in WNBA?
I certainly hope so. And I got humbled, by the way. I should mention this. I got humbled on Sunday, having a fantastic week, had gone, I believe, 9-4, including a stretch of about 7 in a row. And then, Sunday you're not working. You still want to make sure that your great BetSided community can still get some plays from you. And ended up going 0-4 on the late slate on Sunday, including just a killer bad beat, which we talked about on BetSided yesterday, with a buzzer beater against the Aces at home on Sunday. But I'm going to go to another WNBA under between the Seattle Storm. They're at home against the Atlanta Dream, under 152.5 over at WinBet today. This is a low total to begin with when it comes to WNBA slates, Reed, but I think both of these two teams deserve it. In fact, Seattle's in the midst of an 8-game homestand right now. And after a bad loss to the Mercury, they really started to pick things up, played really, really well at home. They've been a much better defensive team at home. But then just 2 uncharacteristic losses. They got outscored by about, I think, 18 points. In their previous loss, they blew a lead to the Sun. I had bet on them on Sunday as favorites as well. I'm trying to figure out where this line is coming in, because Seattle is an 8-point favorite against a good Dream team that currently is the number 1 team.
Are they better than the Dream team?
Dream team. That's currently 7-4 on the season, have the number 1 defense in the WNBA in opponent points per 100 possessions. Like, the whole thing just feels very weird to me, because my first thought was, man, this is a really good line for Atlanta, but I feel like I may not know something here. And I expect the Storm to play much better after 2 straight losses in a row, but this is really going to be a defensive battle. It's a low total on the board. The Seattle ranks 3rd in opponent points per 100 possessions. I mentioned that Atlanta is tops in the league. Atlanta is the number 1 defensive team in multiple statistical categories. And both teams also rank in the bottom 4 in offensive points per 100 as well. And Seattle really likes to play slow. They're bottom 3 in pace. Atlanta will push it a little bit, but they still are bottom 3, as I mentioned, in points per 100 possessions. So even though they play fast, they don't necessarily score every possession as well. Good defensive teams can slow down Ryan Howard, and the Storm, when they're playing at their best, are a very good defensive team. And so with that number being as high as it is for Seattle, -8 at home, a bounce back situation for them after a rough loss to Connecticut and blowing the lead, I just see Atlanta struggling to get going offensively, and then Seattle will be able to take care of business defensively. And even if they have a good game offensively, Reed, the line already is indicative that it's going to be a struggle for the Dream. So I just see this as being a low-scoring game all the way through. I think you see a game in the 70s tonight, with the Storm probably finding a way to cover. But give me the under 152.5 here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just ace handicapping from Ben Heisler on the WNBA. Love it all the way around.
You can
Great,
get back.
great
You can
insight
get
there.
back.
Great insight there. And beers and bow ties, we do see you taking the Lightning to win this series. We're going to bring that back up at around like 5:30, 5:35 when we talk about how we're betting game 4. But don't think we don't see you. I had a comment on how you're betting that series. But I'm going to give you a bet on the Diamond. I got 2 overs and 1 road favorite tonight. We'll go totals first. I'm going to go Astros Mariners over 8. These are 2 hot offenses. Past 2 weeks, Seattle 4th in weighted runs created plus. Houston is 11th. Houston at home. I still trust their offense more, especially against Chris Flexen, who has a 4.55 ERA. His FIP is higher, indicating that he's going to get tagged. I took Kyle Tucker in our daily dinger on BetSided to hit a home run against Flexen, allowing a lot of fly ball contact and 11% home run to fly ball rate. So I think we're going to see runs on the Houston side. And this Mariners offense, like I just said, top 5 offense in generating run scoring chances. And Justin Verlander, he's the Cy Young favorite. We're about to talk about him. He's a 2.33 ERA. How about an expected ERA over 3? And how about a FIP, fielding independent pitching, of 3.76, nearly a run and a half higher? The Mariners are hot. I'm going to get on board. I don't like them as plus 200 or so underdogs. I'd rather just take the over and count on runs to be scored. So there's Astros Mariners over 8. And Ben, I'll come back to you, but let me stick with this over train here. Nationals,
let's go.
Nationals Marlins over 9. I see juice 8.5. I'd rather wait for the cheap 9 if that comes available. If it doesn't, then bet right before game time. But I see this ticking up. Joan Adon is arguably the worst pitcher in baseball, the Nationals. Most losses in baseball. He has an ERA of 5.98. His expected ERA is over 6. So, I mean, just no thank you. This guy's terrible. Leads baseball in walks. Marlins offense hitting above league average over the past 2 weeks. So they're starting to round into form a little bit. And the wind's going to be blowing out in Miami. I know, they play in a dome, but you never know how these things could play a factor. And also, Cabrera started for the Marlins. Last year struggled quite a bit. 26 innings, ERA way high, lack of control. Comes in his first start after being injured and throws 6 scoreless at Coors. So he kind of getting a huge bump. I don't see it. I kind of going to bank on some regression. These are 2 offenses that have been firing lately. Washington 6 and on base percentage the last 2 weeks. I think we see a high scoring affair. Both bullpens bottom 10, so I'm not expecting much there. So give me I'm going to say my best bet will be on over 9 at even money. But if you have to take a juice 8.5, of course, I would lay the price. But I'd rather get that cheap 9. I think we're going to get a high scoring affair here. So Ben, I'm going to go back to you now. Or do you have any comment on my best bets?
Yeah, just a quick comment. Do you know who the worst starting pitcher in Major League Baseball has been this year?
Adon for the Nationals.
That would be correct.
I mean, I know the Marlins offense doesn't scream explosiveness, but this is a team that is hitting better of late. I like them at home. I don't trust this Nationals bullpen to do anything. So I like the over. It's been ticking up all day. So I'm going to hope that I get even money at 9. But Ben, I'm going to go back to you now.
Yeah, it's just been a rough go for him. It's a 6.01 expected ERA. The Washington has lost 8 straight games that he started. Just an absolute
it's a disaster there.
Disaster. Let me give you a prop to kick things off. The guy that has not thrown more than 4 strikeouts in a game this year, Reed. Okay. You might say to yourself, Ben, why would you go ahead and take the over at 3.5 for Cole Irvin of the Oakland Athletics? Well, I'll give you a couple reasons. The first is he's going against the Atlanta Braves. Reed, do you know who strikes out the most of any team in Major League Baseball?
Is it the Atlanta Braves?
It is the Atlanta Braves. You are right. Go ahead and collect your prize. Get $200 once you pass go. And what's interesting about Irvin is that even though you kind of know where that projected line is going to be, it works out to his advantage because in 6 of his 8 starts this season, he's actually gone above that number of 3.5 and now gets a matchup against Atlanta that's striking out more than anybody in baseball. He's gone a minimum of 5 innings in every start that he's made this year. And the best part is you can get it at plus odds at plus 110 tonight.
That's always nice.
So you're telling me that I can get a guy that is going to pass this number in 75% of the games that he started this year, that is going against the team that strikes out the most in baseball, that still struggles against left-handed pitchers. Sign me up. Please give me Cole Irvin here. 3.5 strikeouts against the Braves. I know that Atlanta at some point is going to turn around. There's too much talent on this offense for me to not trust them long-term. And remember, this was a team that was under 500 in July of last year, went on to win the World Series. But right now, they are swinging and missing. And even against a guy like Cole Irvin, who has a strikeout rate of less than 6 per 9 innings, this is an opportunistic time to go ahead and take his over. So over 3.5 for Cole Irvin. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like it. And Braves free swinging team. So I don't see a reason to, get, again, it's such a low total. I know you're always going under on the high totals. Like they can't possibly get to this number. But yeah, beers and bow ties. He's with you. Cody Wells, going back over to my Nats overplay. Adon has an ERA over 8 on the road, according to longtime viewer and friend of the program, Cody Wells. Yeah, I think we're going to see a high scoring affair there. And Ben, I think you're going to see a high strikeout affair in the Oakland-Atlanta game. And why don't you take us home with your third best bet of the night?
All right, so we had mentioned the Pirates a little bit earlier on as a money line play, and it makes sense. Detroit's been an absolute disaster of an offense, but they do have a very good pitcher. Perhaps, Reed Wallach, the best starting pitcher on the slate in Tariq Skubal. Yes, I understand that Justin Verlander is on the bump today, that Yu Darvish is on the bump, Kyle Wright. There's some really damn good pitchers on the slate. But if you look at Skubal's numbers, he has the second best WAR in all of the American League as far as starting pitchers go. And the play that I like is the first 5 under 3.5. It's a matchup that is advantageous to the starting pitchers. Jose Quintana has had a terrific year for Pittsburgh. And again, I both of these pitchers I'm expecting to go past the 5th inning. And again, when you're going through that third time through the order, you're going to start to see a little bit more regression come in. But it really hasn't happened for Skubal over the last several starts. His ERA is 2.15, but his FIP is 2.01. Quintana, you can start to see the potential regression on the way. His expected ERA is actually more than 2 full runs ahead of his ERA. But again, he's going up against a Detroit offense that's about as anemic as possible. So it's an advantageous matchup. I see this being like a 1-1 game or a 1-0 game by the time you get through 5 innings. So the fact that I can have a couple extra runs of support and get it at a fairly reasonable number, give me the under on the first 5, plus 100, even money for Detroit and Pittsburgh. It's a hold your nose type of game, considering just how rough both of these teams have been. I suppose the Pirates have been a little bit better as of late, but yeah, if you're looking for an angle between the Tigers and the Pirates, Reed, this is the way to go.
Yeah, and going back to Lil Nepatice's best bet on the Pirates, with a low total like this, I don't hate it. I like to call these games root canal games because you have to root for a very low total and 2 very bad baseball teams going under. So, listen, I'm with you. It's going to be painful to watch, but I think that both of these teams, especially the Tigers' offense, is just anemic at the plate. So I think that we're going to see a low-scoring affair. And I like you kind of Xing out the bullpen a little bit and try and say, hey, I like these 2 starters. Let's get it done. And my last best bet, I'm going to take, arguably, we'll say maybe the best team, maybe the second best team's the New York Mets, the Dodgers. They are short road favorites. They're minus 124 against the White Sox. This is the cheapest price the Dodgers have been all year. Yeah. They're minus 124 on the road. I know Michael Kopech, we're going to talk about him in a minute maybe, but like the White Sox are under 500. They're 6-14 as underdogs this year. There's just very, why are we expecting them to knock off probably the most vaunted lineup in baseball in the Dodgers? I mean, this team could put up runs against anyone. The White Sox bullpen is bottom 10 in baseball. And you're thinking, oh, Mitch White for the Dodgers, like relative no name in a loaded Dodger rotation. Yeah, but he's kind of operating as an opener. It's only his 4th start of the year. And the Dodgers have a top 10 bullpen. So I think they're going to get length there. I think that the Dodgers, this is just too short of a price here. I like Kopech, but if he only goes 6 innings and the Dodgers put up 3 runs, I think the Dodgers could piece together a low scoring affair. So give me LA minus 124 is my third and final best bet.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. The White Sox still very much trying to figure out their identity.
They're not rolling at all. They almost blew a game on Sunday to the Rays. So they're not this isn't a team that is about to take off. They're still banged up, and I don't like the White Sox at this cheap number. Sorry.
No, I agree with you. And again, I think it's a good opportunity. Mitch White's a nice arm in the Dodger system amongst many. Nice riches and opportunities for them. So I don't mind going on the Dodgers here. White Sox at some point are going to make a run, regardless of whether it's, in spite of Tony La Russa or not. But right now they're as dominant of a fade category as you can get. This is a winnable division for them that they just not have been able to take advantage of. So you go with a better team here and the opportunistic matchup. Kopech's a very good pitcher, but the White Sox bullpen, which was supposed to be the strength of their team heading into the season, has been one of the worst in baseball. They're walking everybody, and too many free passes has led to a lot of blown saves. Hendricks can't do it all. They're missing some arms, and it's starting to really haunt them this year.
Especially against the Dodgers, arguably the best offense in baseball. But let's bring up that recap graphic before we transition to some Cy Young talk. Ben is going with the over 3.5 on Cole Irvin strikeouts. He's going with the first 5 under 3.5 in the Tigers Pirates, and the under 152.5 for the Dream versus the Storm in the WNBA tonight. That is what we call a loaded 3-pick slate for Ben Heisler. And then I will be on the over 8 in the Astros versus Mariners, the over 9 in Marlins versus Nationals, and the Dodgers minus 124 against the White Sox. Kind of like the polar opposite of Ben's slate, rooting for overs in the Dodgers, while Ben rooting for unders and Cole Irvin strikeouts. But there are our best bets. I want to give a big shout to Cody Wells, who he is on Teoscar Hernandez over 1.5 total bases at plus 105. He's 4 for 10 with a homer against Mitch Keller, the starter for the Royals.
Brad Keller.
Brad Keller. I wrote this preview over at BetSided. It shows how much I know. I misspoke the name, but I wrote this preview over at BetSided. It's a family thing. But the Blue Jays offense should be in line to tee off on Keller with a high total. My game preview, which you can check out over at BetSided, I lean towards the Blue Jays team total over a 5. I think the Jays are in line for a big outing. The offense is starting to roll over the last few weeks. It's starting to hit their potential. But let's get off who's hitting well. Let's talk about who's pitching tonight. Some AL Cy Young talk. As we head into like a marquee Tuesday night of baseball. Let's set the stage real quick because Justin Verlander, he's starting for the Astros. I just spoke about how he's due for some regression. He's the favorite over at WinBet, plus 350. Shane McClanahan, he's over at plus 500. Garrett Cole, plus 600. Kevin Gausman, plus 600. Nestor Cortez, 7-1. They're not in action outside of Verlander, but a few other young starters, particularly that have a case. Alek Manoah of the Blue Jays, we were just talking about him. He's 10-1. Tariq Skubal, who we just brought up, and I think we're going to be talking about again. He's 30-1. Michael Kopech of the White Sox, he has a big game tonight against the Dodgers. If he puts on, he could see his price shrink from 40-1, maybe down to like that 25-1 range. So, Ben, I will kick it to you. But again, these are nights where it takes one. Get you on that Sports Center top, that first, like that A block, get in the mix. Who do you think tonight can maybe put on and get that buzz going a little bit more, maybe further down the board, and maybe chase Verlander plus 350?
Yeah, I don't know if you can necessarily get the buzz going because the matchup doesn't necessarily highlight, this is must tune in baseball. But I do think Tariq Skubal is slowly starting to get some of the notoriety that he deserves because he's been terrific. Like going over his last several outings, he's held opponents scoreless in 31 of his last 32. The Tigers don't have very many wins this year, Reed, but they are 4-1 in his last 5 starts. He's second, as I mentioned, in the American League for pitchers in wins above replacement. Only Kevin Gausman leads the field at 2.8. Skubal has done it all. 2.2 WAR. Strikeouts per 9 have been excellent. His home run per 9 is minuscule. Just everything that you can ask for from a young left-handed pitcher, really taking the next step towards basically doing everything he can to carry the Detroit Tigers when they really don't have anything else. The fact that he even has 4 wins on the season, which again, you don't look at wins as a barometer of success. But the fact that he does have 4 of them and Detroit does not have very many is indicative of the fact that he's lasting late in games, that he has made a difference in going the distance for several of his games so far this year. And when other teams aren't scoring any runs, 31 of the last 32, it gives Detroit some opportunity to be able to get a win on the board. So he's been essential for their success and gets a good matchup against a Pittsburgh team that, yes, did sweep the Dodgers, has gone 7-3 over the last 10 games. But Reed, they're still a terrible team. Like if you look at some of their overlying numbers,
they might just be bad. Maybe they're not terrible, they're just bad. They've graduated.
Right. No, it's moved up. Yeah. They've gone from fun bad to bad. And fun bad for anybody who's unaware of it is just watching a team like the Washington Nationals are a fun bad team, because I don't know if you saw that game against the Mets, where I think in the same inning they committed like 5 different errors, including Juan Soto just diving for a ball just because he felt like it, and it was like 20 feet in front of him and it went right over his head. Like that's the Nationals are a fun bad team. But Pittsburgh, you're right, might have graduated to that level. Detroit is fun bad, but at least Skubal brings them back to mediocre. So I think he goes out and I think he shoves again against the Pirates team that's been hot. Given the fact that, yes, even though they're playing well, you still want to be able to take your chances against a team that's still bottom 10 in the league in Pittsburgh in almost every single offensive statistical category.
Yeah, no, I think that what's going to hold Skubal back, in my opinion, is the fact that the Tigers are so far out of the race. They do have one of the worst records in baseball. That's it. The numbers are there. It just, I don't know if he's going to get that notoriety because he's on such a bad team. And it's not like he has that pedigree or anything going for him. He's still a young pitcher, but like Skubal next year going into what should be a better year for the Tigers. I mean, they were supposed to be competitive this year. They had a win total around like 77.5. So I think that Skubal, while he is primed for another strong start against a middling to bad Pirates offense, I think ultimately he's going to come up short. I do want to get in more in this market because I think Justin Verlander is a fraudulent favorite. He's plus 350 right now at WinBet. I don't see it at all. I mentioned the regression numbers that are coming from. His FIP is almost a run and a half higher than his ERA. He's coming off Tommy John. He is older. I'd actually rather, and this is someone who's not pitching tonight, so maybe I'm kind of cheating, but I did bet this player earlier this year. His number is still the same. It's Framber Valdez at 50-1. I bet him earlier in April. He had a few bad starts, but he started rounds of form. He has a 2.61 ERA. His FIP is almost a run higher, but he's 6-2 on the year. His WAR is only 0.4 off of Verlander's pace. He strikes a ton of people out. He's starting to bring that walk rate down. Just went 6 innings, 2 earned in his last start. The Astros are going to likely run away with this AL West. So we're talking about that competitive team being in the mix. I think Verlander's going to step back. I think it's Valdez who's going to step up and maybe enter the mix with Manoah, with Garrett Cole and Nestor Cortez. I think Valdez at 50-1 is someone who's prime over the next week. I'm kind of cheating by, skirting across, but I'm talking about Verlander tonight because I think he's going to get tagged again. Seattle also hit him for 6 earned runs last time out 2 weeks ago. I think Valdez is the buy now candidate in turn because you're going to see Verlander take a step back. Ben, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like the play on Valdez quite a bit. Not necessarily as much because of the Verlander regression that's coming, but he actually got off to a bit of a rough start in the early portion of the season. And the one thing that might be a bit of a concern for those that are voting on Cy Young this year is that his strikeout rate is amongst the lowest in his career. Like if you're looking at Valdez right now, and voters care about strikeouts, they care about overall dominance. His strikeout rate right now is barely over 7 per 9 innings. The previous 4 seasons was over 8, 8.66. The highest of his career was in 2020 at about 9.7, and then dipped down a little bit last year. Still a very good year, 3.14 ERA, but it is the lowest of his career. However, and this is another trend that you're starting to see in baseball, and I almost wonder if this is going to help him. We talk about market inefficiencies, right? Like where are pitchers better suited for long-term success, both in trying to catch up with the current trends in Major League Baseball, but also just be able to have a little bit more longevity. You're starting to see guys throw more breaking pitches, not necessarily dip into super high velocities. And that's not necessarily Valdez's strength. Like he throws hard. He throws 94 on average. And that's actually an uptick from the last couple of years. But Reed, he's throwing more ground balls this year. Like he's done a really good job of keeping the ball down. His home run rate is by far and away the lowest of his career. That's where guys are swinging. Like they're swinging up. The launch angle is really starting to continue to pick up, and he's kept the ball in the ballpark. So he's lasting longer in games. He's not walking as many guys. The ball is staying in the yard in a pitcher's park, and the numbers are fairly reflective of that. And so I think you're right. This is somebody to jump on now, because if Verlander starts to fade, Valdez is likely to extend because of the fact that he's going to have a little bit more longevity. And I know that his numbers weren't great to start, but now I think is an ideal. So 50-1 feels like a really good number here.
Yeah, and I just think with Verlander pitching, I think he's in line to get roughed up again. I think that Valdez could take that mantle as like the best Astros pitcher this year. That's kind of my narrative. He's going to have some stiff competition, but I think he can get into the mix. But yeah, again, this is a loaded baseball slate. One of the better ones you're going to see for an early June in terms of the pitching matchups. We got 5 best bets if you want to go check them out a few minutes back. But let's transition to the ice. Game of the night, Game 4, Rangers Lightning. Lightning take Game 3 in the final minutes, 3-2. They sit as Game 4 favorites, -175. Rangers catching +155 on the other side. Total 5.5. The over is +115. Under -135. Ben, I'm going to start with you. What is your favorite look for this game? Because I'm looking more at bigger picture. So I'll start with you on just this game alone.
Yeah, I like the under here. I know that it's not been particularly popular in the Stanley Cup playoffs to bet on unders, but I still go back to the bread and butter of both of these two teams. And that's their goaltending. You have a Lightning team that's 5-1 at home over the course of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They've won in their last 5 games over in their home arena. Rangers have struggled on the road, but still trying to go ahead and lay an expensive price on the money line doesn't feel like it's ideal. Instead, I like the fact that I can go to where both of these teams over the course of the postseason have been electric, and that's with goaltending. So it just makes sense from that perspective to take under 5.5 because Tampa, when they're playing at their best, and we saw this over the course of the series against Florida, is they're going to slow you down and they're going to take away a lot of your opportunistic chances. That didn't happen in the earlier portion of the series. The Rangers were all over them in Game 1, but in Game 2 and Game 3, you've seen the under hit, 5 total goals, 1 goal games over the course of it. And Vasilevsky's still an outstanding goaltender. Actually has a better goals against number than that of Shesterkin, who's also been incredible this year. So go back to the goaltenders. You're starting to see both these teams figure themselves out a little bit more. You saw the numbers start to go down and down and down. I think you're going to see another one of those low-scoring games and letting Tampa take advantage of a very good goaltender in Game 4 tonight. So I like the under here at -135.
Yeah, I think that Game 1 was a little bit of an aberration. Rangers kind of flying a little bit high after that Game 7 win. Kind of works opposite in hockey, where like the team that plays more recently, they kind of come out hot. They hang 6 goals on the Lightning. I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. We saw the game go under 5.5 in the last 2. So I like your bet, Ben, your best bet, under 5.5. I'm looking more big picture, though. And Beers and Bowties mentioned that took Lightning to win this series at -175. Would still bet them at +120, which they are to win the series right now over at WinBet. I am going to go one step further. I'm going to take the Lightning to win the Cup at +450. And to me, the math checks out, and I kind of like them anyway against the Avalanche. I think, listen, I'm not going to lay -175 in a playoff hockey game. It's just too tight for that. So I'd rather go for the whole enchilada and take the +450 because right now the Avs are -220 to win the Cup. And I think that's going to come way down. If the Lightning get there, I think the Avs are no more than like -130, -135 favorites. If the Lightning look good doing it, maybe, even if they're going on the road, they catch the Avalanche sleeping a little bit like they just did in this last series. So I like the Lightning here at +450. I think it gives you a great price to potentially hedge if you don't like the matchup. But I think that this is the best way to play it. If you want to ride with beer and bow ties, I don't hate it either at +120. I'm thinking a little bit more. I want a little bit more juice for my squeeze. So I'm going to go big picture. I'm going +450 on the Lightning to win the Cup. I think that they win tonight. I think that they end up running away with this series. Shout out Ian McMillan, who does great work over at BetSided for the hockey stuff. He's much more well-versed than I am on like the inner workings of the NHL. But I mean, we're talking more than 4 high danger chances per game for the Lightning this series. In the last game alone, they outshot them by 22 shots, and they had to win in the last minute. I think this is setting up for the Lightning to kind of run away with the series. I think they're the better team. Listen, if Igor Shesterkin is going to keep standing on his head, then I guess I'll lose. And, I am a New York guy, so I'd be happy for my friends, but I'd rather get the nice, juicy plus 450 payout on them to win the cup. I think the Lightning are going to make it a three-peat. I lost with the Hurricane to the Rangers. Might as well keep fading the Rangers while I still can. I think that the Lightning are the better team. And it appears that the community is with me. And Ben, I think you're kind of leaning with the Lightning also, but you don't want to lay that price. The community is on the Lightning minus 175. So I guess I'm double dipping. I'm going with the Lightning minus 175.
It's easy to go on minus 175 when they're spending our money here.
So, exactly. So it looks like I'm getting in. I'm getting in on the big favorite. Ben's in on the big favorite, minus 175. I'm in on the Lightning plus 450 to win the Stanley Cup. But yeah, so that is kind of our breakdown on the Eastern Conference Finals Game 4. Before we wrap up, Ben, do you want to go back through your best bets from earlier for anyone still tuning in that missed the best bets portion?
Yes, absolutely. So for anybody that is just entering the conversation now, was coming in for a little hockey talk for the game of the night, I got 2 MLB plays and 1 play on the WNBA for Major League Baseball. Give me the over for Cole Irvin strikeouts. I know that he doesn't throw many strikeouts, but I like the opportunity against Atlanta. Over 3.5, you can get it at plus odds at plus 110. Also like the under 3.5 in the Tigers and Pirates game in Pittsburgh tonight, with 2 outstanding starters going in Tariq Skubal and Jose Quintana. Under 3.5 at even money. And then give me the Dream and the Star. I got 3 unders on the board today, Reed. That's always fun. That's normally like right up your world. You're the big under guy.
Maybe I'm the over guy in baseball, it seems like.
Yes. So we've kind of traded places a little bit, but I do like the Dream and the Storm. Under 152.5 over at WinBet tonight. Just 2 teams that have not been particularly good in points per 100 possessions. They're very good defenses. Seattle has been much better at home other than their last couple games. I think they right the ship as big favorites tonight. So under 152 with Atlanta and Seattle in the WNBA. What about for you, Reed?
Yeah, 2 overs for me on the diamond. Mariners, Astros, I kind of been bashing Justin Verlander this whole show. Let's hope it comes true. I'm going over 8 Mariners, Astros, over 9 in Nationals, Marlins. Hold out for that cheap 9. And then Dodgers, minus 124 in Chicago against the White Sox. And then I'm taking the Lightning to win the Cup. Put my stake in there. Got the Lightning to win the Cup. And that's our show for today. There's Daily Betslip on a Tuesday, June 7th. Ben, you're back tomorrow. Maybe Peter will let you host instead of me, just kind of jumping in there. But Ben and Peter back tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern for Daily Betslip. I'm sure you're going to have plenty of Game 3 of the NBA Finals coverage. And also, stay tuned. Well, actually, you know what? Even better. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right below us. Just go click right below, because we also have Jab Cross Hook, UFC 275 preview with myself, E. McMillan, and Fanside MMA editor Amy Kaplan. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. And for all that, best of luck on all your bets, and go Lightning.
Go Lightning. Go under.